is the law. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon Perna, the only football talker with the balls to break down the XFL on the same day free agency starts in the NFL. I'm here to bring you the best and worst plays, players, moments, and whatever else presents itself as really good or really bad from week 4 of the XFL. Let's start with the Battlehawks and Renegades though, okay? Because the Battlehawks do indeed have the best fans.
Let's go! Hey, show this country why y'all the best fans in the world! Show this country why y'all the best fans in the world, baby! Let's go!
Defenders fans, a la the lemons and beer snake enthusiasts, might take offense, but St. Louis drew a crowd of over 38,000 to their first home game. That's like 3 whole Chargers games. The Rams left St. Louis a full 7 years ago, but these people want football, and they're getting a fun game where caw is indeed the law. Let's start though with the worst pass rush. The Renegades netted 0 sacks in this game. The Battlehawks only got 1 combined sack of their own, so this should have been an ideal game to play QB. Should have been. Sorry, my worst QB? Oh no, this is like a punch to the gut. Kyle Slaughterhouse 3 after he tossed 3 interceptions in the ruckus St. Louis Stadium. Now, I think they have to stick with Slaughter for a bit, mostly because their other QBs are Drew Plitt and Kevin Anderson, but it might be time to realize that the XFL is a tougher league than the USFL was a year ago, and Slaughter might be adjusting as his 5.3 yards per pass attempt would suggest. My worst overthrow? That's going to AJ McCarron, who put a little too much on this one, overshooting Austin Prohl and throwing the ball right to Renegades defender Joe Powell, setting up an Arlington field goal. Speaking of field goals, today's episode is sponsored by HelloFresh, and with my code ThatsGood60, you will get 60% off HelloFresh plus free shipping. That's an incredible discount to try something that I use regularly. HelloFresh is actually cheaper than shopping at the grocery store. I'm not sure if you've noticed lately, but eggs are basically more expensive than a franchise QB. Now, personally, I love HelloFresh because I can be brain dead from a lack of sleep and working too much and cook chef-crafted dinners for my family without using my brain, since HelloFresh gives you a step-by-step set of instructions for every meal. And if you like improvising while you cook, you're still able to do so. And if you're following a specific eating plan, you can customize your meals by swapping proteins or sides or adding proteins and or veggies to any dish with options for organic chicken and organic beef upgrades. I made this chicken pasta in about 35 minutes on my busiest workday of the week on 4 hours of sleep. I literally picked the worst day of the week to shoot this promo, but it was a breeze because HelloFresh is that foolproof. For effortless meals, go to HelloFresh.com and use code ThatsGood60 for 60% off plus free shipping. And hopefully after you cook for your family, they don't relegate you to the kids' table. My best route? Well, that goes to Darius Shepard, who got wide open on a corner route in the final seconds of the first half. This was just one of 8 grabs on 8 targets for Shepard. That's a 100% catch rate, who finished with 91 yards and the TD. Best catch, though, that goes to Renegades receiver Caleb. I don't know if he has any notable relatives, Van Der Esch, who absolutely mossed a Battlehawk to get his team in the red zone, setting up an Arlington touchdown. Maybe the Cowboys should try Leighton at wide receiver, since they don't have anyone after CeeDee Lamb. Best throw was this dime from AJ McCarron to Hakeem Butler that essentially put this game on ice for the Battlehawks. And I'm not hyperbolizing when I say that I do not think one can throw a ball any better than this, and AJ McCarron deserves the victory after this perfect toss. The Battlehawks are 3-1 and have gotten a little bit better every week. Dragons versus Brahmas. Josh Gordon and Ben dinucci had an insane outing together last week. Could they keep it up in Seattle? keeping it up in Seattle was the porn parody of Sleepless in Seattle, by the way. The answer is no, though. Gordon could have had the catch of the week on a 4th and 1, but I'm giving my best pass breakup to Terrell Bonds. Money punny, I'll take my martini shaken and not in a beer snake. Don't you know, James Bond. Running back Morgan Ellison gets my very original Perturbed Speedwalker Award. Have your scepter. Morgan finished with 1 rushing TD and exactly 69 yards. Nice. But if Ellison can just figure out how to stop getting tackled for big losses or no gains, he could be a very complete back. Sadly, this was the worst game of the week. It was just not fun to watch. And the 2 best plays were really 2 plays that almost happened. The first being this near touchdown when we thought Blake Jackson wasn't touchdown on what could have officially been a long STD. The second being this cross-the-body throw by Ben dinucci on a 3-point after attempt that was not caught by Ja'Cour Pearson. My best Romo? Parker Romo. Yeah, the brother of Tony Romo, who the Romo family abandoned at birth because all of their QB DNA went to Tony. But he blasted a 57-yard field goal right down the gooch. No, I said gooch, not dinucci. But speaking of dinucci, he is developing a pattern. I think he's the most talented quarterback in the league. He can make a lot of throws on the run, hit tight windows, and really work the whole field. He was 28 of 41 for 264 and a TD, but he makes mistakes almost every week when the game is on the line. And even though they won, this throw by dinucci up by just a score is unforgivable. You need to develop a bit in the clutch, dinucci. Now, luckily for the Sea Dragons, their defense continued to stymie Jack the Cone of Silence. Cone, on 39 passing attempts, only netted 189 passing yards. That's 4.8 yards per pass, and at the end of the game, with the free play, he throws it exactly 4.8 yards. Not gonna get it done. Best guy who needs a look by the NFL, it's receiver Ja'Cour Pearson. Pearson on a team with the quarterback who was just in the NFL and Josh Gordon. Pearson led the team in receptions with 8, is the league leader in receptions at 31, yards as well, 348, and first downs with 18. He's clearly dinucci's safety blanket, or safety cannoli in the passing game. I think he could be a solid slot receiver in the NFL, and it says a lot when you are the guy and you have the specimen that is Josh Gordon on the other side. The Dragons are now 2-2, but the Brahmas fall to 1-3. Then we've got the Roughnecks and Guardians. Worst ass kicking, or is it ass taking of kicks? I don't know, it goes to the Guardians. It's becoming clear that the Houston Roughnecks are the most complete team in the XFL, and when they faced the worst team this weekend, they did stomp the Guardians 44-16. Now, say what you want, okay, about Paxton Lynch, but he's played a little bit better every week. The big mistake in this game was early, and it was this backwards pass to Dedrick Thomas, who couldn't make the catch, which Will Likely scoops up and takes in for the score. Now, Likely had 4 picks for the Houston Gamblers last season in the USFL, making him the most consistent player in Houston since J.J. Watt. That gave the Roughnecks 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes of the game. My best play? Well, Houston whipping out the double pass, a totally legal play in the XFL. It's Brandon Silvers to Jontre Kirkland, the Kirkland brand of QBs, who then fires a vintage 2015 Peyton Manning wobbler to Deontay Burnett for the 49-yard touchdown. Yes, the Roughnecks, who really have been led by their defense, had a breakout game on offense and get the Best Offense of the Weekend award. They still had 4 sacks on defense, by the way. Best O, and also, let's just do it, Best QB, Brandon Silvers. Against that bad Guardians defense, he only missed on 6 passing attempts out of 30 and threw 3 touchdowns to go with a wildly efficient 239 passing yards. My worst cheaters, also the Roughnecks. It's pretty easy to score when Kirkland is actually a robot. that you can indeed purchase at Costco. Kirkland became the first player to throw and catch a touchdown in the XFL. Congrats, you cyborg. I mean, he straight up admitted his Uncle Randy is a robot.
Today it's the robot. What was the inspiration?
Oh, my Uncle Randy, back at home. Shout out Uncle Randy. I did it.
And yes, I did find some footage of his Uncle Randy.
No! Out the window.
Now, it wasn't all bad for the Guardians. Backup QB DeAndre Franceau, who took the spot of Quentin Dormady, completed 1 pass on 4 attempts, but his 1 pass was my best. Laser disguised as a human arm throwing a football for 19 yards. Paxton Lynch also had 2 of the best deep throws of the game, so he gets my balls deep balls, not redundant award. A tutty to the corner of the end zone, which was a dime, and an easy but still great throw to Charleston Rambo for an 81-yard, 11-second play. Colorado's own Max Borghi, running back, was out with an injury. He was replaced by another tiny back, but a much spicier player in Dejon Lee. The 5'7" short king added 2 rushing touchdowns to the Roughnecks, 6 total TDs on the day. If this game was closer, it could have been the game of the week because there were 4 passing touchdowns, all over 40 yards in this game. My worst penalties? The 22 total yellow hankies in this affair. 13 called on the Guardians, which was a contributing factor to their throttling. This was the first game of the season, though, that felt over-officiated. That said, overall, the officiating is better in the XFL, and I respect the job Dean Blandino is doing. The transparency with him making the calls on the fly really humanizes these zebra fucks. And then we've got the Defenders and Vipers. Worst start goes to Brett Hundley, fumbling the opening snap, which was low, which was covered by the defenders at the 21-yard line. 2 plays later, the Vipers defense makes another gaffe, taking a shot on sliding Jordan Teyamu to help set up an easy touchdown for the new king of DC. What I am enjoying about the defenders is that their offense is unique. They're a run-first team, and they do it with their running backs and their quarterbacks every week. And even though he's not the starter, I think D'Eriq King is becoming my favorite player in the XFL. He is this week's best individual performer and Jamal Williams impressionist. D'Eriq King, who on 2 passing attempts and 4 rushing attempts, scored 3 touchdowns, 46 total yards, 3 TDs, 2 rushing TDs for just 8 rushing yards total, all while starting QB Jordan Teyamu led the team with rushing yards in 89. My worst mystery? Well, was Brett Hundley injured or benched? It's hard to tell because he completed 4 of his 5 passes for 50 yards before Luis Perez took over and came literally inches short of scoring a rushing touchdown. This is where the game was lost. The Vipers, with the TD here, could have tied up the game, but instead the clock is run off automatically. They go into halftime trailing 14-6. After half, it seemed like the football gods had their best interest in heart as DC fumbles the opening kickoff, only so the Vipers could walk away with 0 points in the red zone after getting shut down on 4th and 1. The Vipers need a new name because this is a team that never strikes. And that's where QB Jordan Teyamu went to work with a long run, got DC 2 key field goals in the third that essentially won the game. Now Perez, in the second half, hit an open sinkway sweeting for the Vipers touchdown. Perez played a decent game before all hope was lost when his receiver fell down on the wet grass and was picked by Santos Ramirez. The Vipers have been more affected by rain than any other team this short XFL season. First upcoming game? Next week, we get the Toilet Bowl, a battle between the 0-4 Vegas Vipers and the 0-4 Orlando Guardians. Someone has to get their first win, though, in that one. Or do they? Thanks for watching That's Good Sports XFL Recap. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos every week. Make sure to like this one, share it, and subscribe here on YouTube, and we will keep rocking with the XFL.